Hey there everybody, T-shirt booth here for GSHelper.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to deal out cards, or how to spawn a bunch of actors in a layout that is predetermined. So for instance, since we're just going to spawn a 5x3 set of cards. So the very first thing we need to do is set up a table. So for our first actor that we have here, we know where it is. I'm going to click on it, and for this video, I'm not going to be too detailed. I mean, for positioning, because your game is going to be different. You want your positions to be different than mine. So I'm just going to turn this to 78 here, 242. Okay, so 78, 242. That's the location of our first card. So I'm going to go into the tables here, home, table, and I'm going to create a table, and I'm going to go in, and now we initially said that we wanted this to be 5x3, so that's 15 columns I need, and I'm going to go ahead and do 2 rows because it's X and Y, and for each one of these we're going to make it a real attribute. And whenever we're dealing with X and Y coordinates, we always want to do real attributes. Now, I just did that, one at a time. Let's say you have a lot to do. Here's a simple thing. You just go export CSV, and it doesn't matter what we save it as. I'll save it to my desktop as RRR. Save it, and then we're going to import it again, RRR, and it asks us what we want. We can do real. Hit import, and boom, it instantly turns them all real. So if you have lots to do, it's just a quick way to do that. Now, I've already forgotten the first location, so I'm going to hit home, scene, and just double check this here. So it's 78, 242. So I'll go back into my table, and the first one is 78, 242. And on the first row, I'm going to hit X, and the second one, Y, just so we know what we're doing here. So if I want 5 cards in a row, we know that the first 5 cards so I guess I should explain. X is left and right, Y is up and down. So on the Y axis, we know that the first 5 cards will all be in the same height. So 242, 242, 242, 242. So we know our first row is up that high, and I guess we got to figure out how far apart to put them. So we're going to go home. I'm just going to copy this over here. The best thing for you to do is lay out the way you want them and then just check the X and Y's, but I'll go in here and position. So it's 131. So I'm going to go into my table. 131. Now, I guess the difference between here is about 49. Let's call it 50. So let's go here. 180. Again, I'm not being very precise. This is just for a demo. So this would be 230 and 280. So that should do it for the first row. So let's go home and in here, and we'll see where our second row Y would start. And so 165 for our second row's Y. So 165, 165. And again, it's 5 cards, so 165, 165. Now, we already know the X positions we need for these cards because they're already here. So first one was 78, 131, 180, 230, 280. So we got that, and then we can do those again for the next 5. 78, 131, 180, 230. And 280. And let's go home and find out where our bottom one will be. And the Y of that one is going to be 96-ish. So 96, 96, 96. Perfect. There might be an easier way to do something like this where you can, you know, spawn the first one and then, you know, plus 50, plus 50, plus 50, and so on. But that's if in a perfect world when you're just doing straight lines of stuff. But in yours, you might want a funky layout, like going diagonal and all the stuff like that. So it's best just to coordinate it all in a table, just like this. There's no guesswork. It's there. It's going to run perfect, and that's going to be that. So we have our table perfect where we want our cards. I'm going to go in there, and I'm just going to delete all of those. And one thing I should point out, what I usually call that table is location manager. I'll just call it location man. Now, so here's our card. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a controlling actor. I usually call this round rules. And I usually make it green. Most of you probably know that already. And I'll put that in here somewhere. Now, you have a couple options. You can, you know, put the cards in the game already somewhere high up and then just move them down. But I'm going to spawn them for the sake of this, for the sake of this tutorial. So we're going to go into attributes, and we're going to hit game attributes, and I hit index. And the reason why I'm using index is because we're just going to go one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's no negatives, no decimals, no nothing. So index is perfect for that. And we're going to call this what location. And we're going to start it off at 1. Obviously, we want location 1. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to put a... Actually, in fact, what I'll do is I'll move this right here, just so we can use it as a button. And I'm going to create a rule that says when touch is pressed, I want to create another rule inside. Just drag a rule. And we're going to say if attribute game what location is less than 15, because we have 15 cards, we're going to go timer every, and I want this to be fairly quick. I'm going to go 0.05. Run to completion. We're going to spawn actor, and we're going to spawn the card, and for position, for the X position, we are going to use table cell value, and we're going to remove the word table, and we're going to add our table, which is game.location manager. And for row, because we know our X's are all in row 1, we'll use 1. And then for column, we're going to use game what location. So that will basically keep track of what cards are going where. And then for Y, or for the Y-axis, we'll do the same thing. We're going to go table cell value. We're going to remove table, enter location manager. But for row this time, we know our Y values are on row 2, so we'll put 2 there. For column, we'll put what location. And we'll go relative to scene for these. Okay. And now, what's very important now is we need to add a change attribute. So once it spawns the first one, we need to tell it to go to the second one. So we're going to change game.whatLocation to game.whatLocation plus 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this just in case when I hit preview something happens. Save to desktop. And let's hit preview and see if that works. I touch this. And it's stopping for some reason, so let's find out why. When touch is pressed, I just hit pause for a second to check something, and it seems for some reason run to completion isn't working. I have no clue why. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take it out of this when touch is pressed. That way it just keeps going. I'll figure out what that issue is later. So just remove that out of when touch is pressed, and it will just run right away. And one other thing I noticed is this has to say 16. So we're going to go ahead and press preview. And now you'll see they all just shuffle just like that. Hit refresh again. And they just basically shuffle right where you told them the locations should be. Let's say you only wanted to do, the first 5 cards. You just put 6 there. And 5 cards show up. So you only wanted a game with 10 cards. You'll just do 11. And boom, they show up. So simple as that. I hope you got something out of that video, and head on over to GSHelper.com and you'll be able to download this file and play around with it yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next video.